You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTAi Network News, Instagram at NTAi Network, Twitter at NTAi News Now, YouTube at NTAi News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the
full of joy and happiness for seeing the safe returns of these my children.
An atmosphere of joy in Zamfara state as Jangebe schoolgirls released.
Any individual who thinks he has any support and who thinks he can undermine this government will have himself to blame at the end of the day.
President Buhari keeps eagle eye on those involved in criminality, directs service chiefs to go after them.
These vaccines are safe, they are very effective and efficacious.
Ray of hope in crushing COVID-19. Nigeria receives first dose of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTAi Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. I'll be joined later on by Dotun Oguyemi from our Lagos studios. A more proactive, decisive and robust plan of action has been unfolded by the National Security Council towards restoring security and stability across Nigeria, as well as nipping in the bud potential threats to peace and prosperity. Already, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the nation's military and intelligence community to trail, fish out and bring to justice all those directly or indirectly engaged in perpetrating acts of crime and criminality across the country, no matter how highly placed. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Mangudo, who conveyed the President's directive to newsmen after an extraordinary meeting of the National Security Council, said Nigeria will not be allowed to drift into a failed state. Correspondent Adam Sambo has details.
This is the first meeting of the National Security Council since the nation's security architecture was rejigged with the appointment of new service chiefs for the armed forces. President Muhammadu Buhari, who summoned the crucial meeting, is worried that the level of security in the country is cascading for the worst, a situation he described as unacceptable. The meeting, which lasted more than 4 hours, discussed extensively the predominant issues of terrorism and insurgency, banditry, farmers-herders conflicts, and indeed kidnapping, with Jangebe schoolgirls in Zamfara state as the latest victims.
Now, His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara state with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara state be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect.
Consequently, all non-state actors responsible for acts undermining national security and stability across Nigeria have been placed under surveillance by the intelligence agencies following reports of collusion by people from all walks of life.
Any individual who thinks he has any support and who thinks he can undermine this government will have himself to blame at the end of the day. Already the President has given directives to the military and the intelligence organizations to trail and flush out all the people that have been on our watch list. And I can assure you there's quite a handful of people on our watch list. They will be trailed, they will be rooted out, and they will be brought to book, they will be prosecuted, and they will be made an example of. And anybody who wants to use this situation to blackmail the government should have a rethink.
The National Security Advisor maintains that the federal government is not averse to the application of non-kinetic means of addressing the prevailing challenges of security. He was, however, quick to add that the Buhari administration will neither tolerate nor allow any individual or group bring down the country to its knees and put the citizenry in a state of panic, fear, apprehension, and mistrust.
The federal government will not hesitate to apply to the fullest its kinetic means to restore normalcy to the country. We will not allow this country to drift into state failure. And with effect from today, the new service chiefs have been given directives to reclaim all areas that have been dominated by bandits, by kidnappers, and other scoundrels and scallywags. I have also asked all the intelligence agencies to collapse all their efforts onto one platform so that with the convergence of effort, we would be able to give the required intelligence to the operational elements of government.
The National Security Council strongly warned that Nigerians assuming the status beyond what they should be and using religion or otherwise to stoke the flames of disorder in Nigeria will have themselves to blame.
The government is very, very serious about this.
From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTAi News.
And just as well, the Senate has confirmed the nomination of the newly appointed service chiefs and urged them to take the war against insurgents and bandits to their enclaves. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
The confirmation of the new service chiefs was preceded by the presentation of the report of the Senate Committee on Defense on the screening of the 4 nominees. Major General Loki Irabo as Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Awal Gambo as Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Ishaka Amao as Chief of Air Staff.
The intellect, the achievements, and the exploits of these nominees are very well documented in this report.
That these nominees are capable of spearheading our desire, our drive.
We expect them, our armed forces, to take the fight to the insurgents, to take the fight to the bandits.
Older Persons' Rights and Privileges Bill and the Child's Right Act Amendment Bill, which seeks to prohibit persons convicted of attempted rape from working with children, passed 3rd reading.
By excluding certain categories of persons from being employed either as caregivers, teachers, or in other circumstances that may expose or make such a child vulnerable or susceptible to sexual harassment.
The Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigative Professionals of Nigeria Establishment Bill also passed 3rd reading.
We will ensure that corruption, particularly in the public sector, but generally in both private and public sectors, are easily identified and nipped in the bud.
5 bills passed 1st reading. These include the Clean Nigeria Agency Establishment Bill from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTAi News.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged authorities to improve the welfare of security personnel, especially those in battlefields and other combat operations. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that this formed part of recommendations of the House Committee on Army following an investigation into the purported resignation of more than 300 soldiers in 2020.
Chairman of the House Committee on Army, Representative Abdulrazak Namda, says findings by the committee reveal that resignation of soldiers occur yearly, as they are free to do so after at least 10 years of service. The report of mass resignation, as reported in some sections of the media, the committee noted was misleading.
The Army should continually embark on orientation of soldiers, both old and new, about the reality of their job and the need to be committed to their country
This will reduce the number of soldiers leaving the army due to loss of interest.
The House, however, stressed that welfare of security personnel and delivery of such packages must be fair and equitable. Plenary adopted a motion from Representative Ahmed Jaha intimating the federal government on the need to secure the release of Pastor Bulus Wikura, abducted by Boko Haram in Chibok, Borno State last December, and the call from Representative Balarabe Salami appealing for the provision of relief materials to victims of banditry in Ilela, Sokoto State. The House has mandated committees on appropriation, finance and public accounts to engage ministries, departments and agencies of government to work out a strategic plan to enhance payments of utility bills as moved by Representative Ojo Kingsley.
MDAs are often accused of not paying utility bills to the bodies responsible for the collection, thereby making it impossible to remit the funds to the government, and this has adverse effects on IGR.
A bill to establish Sustainable Development Fund and a bill to amend National Agency for Population Programs and Development passed second reading. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTAi News.
No effort will be spared in ensuring that cases of abduction are put to a stop. Zamfara State Governor Bello Mohammed stated this while receiving students of the Government Girls Science Secondary School, Jangebe, who were abducted last Friday. Sadia Abubakar Tunau has more.
Joy and happiness for seeing the self-returns of these my children.
It was indeed a joyous moment for government and people of Zamfara State as the students of Government Girls Science Secondary School, Jangebe, abducted Friday last week regained their freedom. The girls were joyfully received this morning by Zamfara State Governor Bello Mohammed alongside his wife Aisha Bello, heads of security agencies and some other officials at Government House Gusau. The governor said the girls were released late yesterday following a combined effort of security agencies, stressing that no ransom was paid to secure their release.
The numbers were kidnapped is 279 and no one was missing. All of the 279 are present. This is how God worked for us.
He charged the young girls to consider the incident as something destined by Allah and should never discourage them to continue with their education pursuit. One of the released captives who narrated their ordeals while in captivity said they had nearly given up.
It was a terrible experience indeed. We trekked barefooted for many hours into the bush. Some of us fainted along the way, and they carried them on their back. We were exposed to all sorts of torture. In fact, they even threatened to kill all of us. We cannot thank the Almighty Allah as well as the government enough for regaining our freedom.
Though most of the released teenagers look calm, some of them are battling with ailments and trauma resulting from torture they were exposed to while in captivity. The anxiety that hitherto engulfed people in the state over the sad incident is now over as families of the released girls trooped to Government House Gusau to have a glimpse of the children.
Aisha, my honorable daughter. This is my honorable daughter.
The released students are to undergo medical checkup before reuniting with their families. In Gusau, Sadia Abubakar Tunau, NTAi News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari, in the meantime, has expressed joy over the release of the abducted female students in Zamfara State. The President joins families and the people of Zamfara State in celebrating the release of the students. He, however, called for greater vigilance by the people so that human intelligence could be collected early enough to nip the bandits' plans in the bud. He warned that the time has come to reverse completely the grim and heartbreaking incidents of kidnapping. He warned that ransom payments will continue to prosper kidnapping, urging the police and the military to go after those kidnappers and bring them to justice. And the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, has commended the security agencies for working assiduously to rescue the Jangebe abducted girls. And he says more needs to be done to avoid a reoccurrence of such. He stated this at a solidarity visit to Gusau following the release of the abducted girls. Governor Fayemi, who is in Gusau on behalf of the Nigeria Governors Forum, emphasized the need for the citizenry to collaborate with the security agencies by providing information in order to overcome the security challenges in the country.
We must also acknowledge that there are deeper roots to some of the crimes we are experiencing in the country. And in tackling crime, we should not just invoke the law, we must also address the sociological roots of the crime. Inequality, poverty, which has resulted in desperation in many cases.
And as you have said, the security situation is not just for one person, it's for all of us. And whatever happens, we must come together and solve the problem together.
And staying with security now, troops of Operation Lafia Dole have routed Boko Haram terrorists and their Islamic State of West Africa province counterparts who attempted to infiltrate Dikwa in Dikwa local government area of Borno State. A statement by the Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Muhammad Yarima, says the terrorists that stormed the town on gun trucks and motorcycles were repelled by heavy bombardment and firepower by the troops with the support from the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole. Consequently, Brigadier General Yarima debunked the reports on social media suggesting that the terrorists attacked a UN base in Borno, trapping 25 aid workers. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, has commended the efforts of the troops and the prompt response of the Air Task Force in providing air interdictions throughout the operation. Turning to health now, Nigeria has taken delivery of doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines from the COVAX facility. Kenneth Nanim reports that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, received the consignment on behalf of the federal government.
The waiting is over. Nigeria now has 3,924,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines from the COVAX facility. On hand to receive the vaccines are members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa.
These vaccines are safe, they are very effective and efficacious, and that I would urge at the time of vaccination and deployment, if you fall into the category that will be vaccinated, make yourself available.
Ministers, international partners and other stakeholders acknowledged the effective leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari to contain the pandemic and pledged commitment to the global fight against coronavirus.
These vaccines now being administered to our citizens is really going to go a long way in cushioning even the humanitarian challenges that we are facing.
So media in particular, you have responsibility to let people know that they should come out and be vaccinated.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and NAFDAC, two agencies that will play a significant role in the administration of the vaccines, pledged prompt action to enable commencement of vaccination.
We have to continue our surveillance, our lab, infection prevention and control, because we understand that it will take time to get all Nigerians vaccinated.
Once it gets to the warehouse, we're going to sample to be sure that what is coming from India is of quality.
The PTF is telling Nigerians not to be carried away by these achievements, but to also continue to adhere to the non-pharmaceutical protocols stipulated by PTF to ensure that Nigeria contains the spread of coronavirus. Kenneth Nanim, NTAi News.
I'm being joined now by the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire. Minister, thanks for joining us at Network News.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right, now the vaccines are here. What next?
Well, what next is that we do quality control, make sure that what we get is what we were told we are going to get, and NAFTA could be responsible for doing that, and then we begin the delivery of vaccines.
Well, clarify for us at this point, how many vaccines, how many doses have you received so far?
We have nearly 4 million doses, just a few dozens short of 4 million doses, which have come from the Serum Institute of India, manufactured under license of AstraZeneca.
Right. When are we expecting the next batch, and how will these vaccines be distributed?
We shall be informed when the next batch will come. By that time, we should have been far gone in using up these 4 million doses. The next thing is that the doses with the vaccines will be sent to zonal stores, and from zonal stores, they'll be transferred to state stores, and from there to directly to where they will be deployed.
Right. Initially, when there was talk of vaccines, one of the things people talked about was the fact that these vaccines needed extreme cold conditions for storage. Are we okay with that?
Well, not all of them. They are the so-called mRNA vaccines, like Pfizer and Moderna. Those ones require very cold, what we call ultra-cold chain, -80 for the Pfizer and -20 for the Moderna. But the ones we have now do very well with the normal refrigeration at 2 degrees to 8 degrees, and we're happy to have those ones because we do not need to go into extra cost of acquiring deep freezers.
Okay, some people wonder how long do you take them out of the storage and they're administered? How long? What's the period you have to do that?
Because these ones, because they're at normal refrigeration temperature, they're just a few hours and you are done with them.
Okay.
So you do not need to worry about very deep freeze.
So who are getting the vaccines to start with?
We start first of all with frontline health workers. So that's the ones who are exposed to infection because they are the ones treating COVID patients. It makes sense. And also if any one of them falls sick and has to be isolated, you can easily run short of manpower. So it makes sense everywhere that they're giving the first doses, they're giving first priority. That is a WHO recommendation. It's been done by all countries in the world, and we shall do the same. Then we take on the elderly and also those who have vulnerable diseases predisposing. We know from statistics that the majority of fatalities come from the class of the elderly above the age of 50. And also those who have vulnerabilities like high blood pressure or diabetes or kidney disease or things like that.
Now, in administering these vaccines, what's the position for those who had contracted COVID-19 and had recovered? Would they take the vaccines too?
Well, generally, you will expect that they have antibodies, but there is not going to be any determining of who has antibodies or not, or determining of who has had it or not. So generally, there will be no screening of who has had it or not. But if someone has definitely said that, yes, I just came out of the isolation center, they might be deferred for a while, but definitely it's going to go to all citizens.
Are we prepared for eventualities? Like some have been known to react to vaccines. It's a standard phenomenon all over the world.
Yes, those are what we call adverse events. There are very rare cases of persons who will show some adverse events, like some might have some fainting, some might have some rash, some might have some itches or whatever. They are generally minor for this vaccine, and rarely do you have what we call anaphylactic shock, where they actually have a real serious event that might require medical attention.
All right. Just one quick one, Minister. What's the cost of all of this?
The cost of this?
Yes.
The cost of these particular vaccines is at no cost to us.
All right. You're receiving them at no cost?
At no cost to Nigeria.
Right. Okay.
They are donations from the COVAX facility.
Okay.
We pay for the cost of deployment and managing.
All right. Minister, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll keep an eye on the vaccinations as they go on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. We'll take a short break here. When we return, there'll be more on Network News.
It's a happy feeling when receiving all of the love coming from family.
So many recipes, creating memories every day and every night. Bonding families, yeah.
60 years of joy, so much love, so much fun. Quality, golden penny is you, golden penny is me. Golden pennies at the heart of the family. family.
Nigeria is too big a nation to have just a few people making decisions. We all have to get involved. We all have to be heard. People always talk like there are two Nigeria, the government and the people, when in actuality the people are the government. Fixing Nigeria isn't a one-man program. It is all of ours collectively. Therefore, we must all get involved by participating actively in the system that brings forth good leadership. I would like to see a Nigeria where the bond we share is stronger than our tribal, gender, age, class, and religious differences. A Nigeria where everybody's voice counts. Get involved. Register now to join the All Progressives Congress. I am Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State, and I approve this message.
It is morning, a new beginning. As you prepare everyone for the day ahead, just anything is not enough. Only you make breakfast special, creamy, tasty, with vitamins and nutrients we need for a delightful, healthy start.
So start your day right with Hollandia Evap. Right nutrients for a healthy breakfast.
John, you can use our toilet now.
Ew! My mommy said I should always use a toilet that is cleaned with Hypo toilet cleaner. James will bite my bum bum.
John, what's the problem? Use Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Introducing the new and affordable Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Kills germs and deodorizes your toilet.
It is time for celebration. Oh. 30 years bustling with goodness. Eh. The challenge can never ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate. Bustling with so much greatness. Enjoy your world of good.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTAi from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, despite assurances of abundant supply of petrol and no plans to increase the pump price, petrol queues which suddenly resurfaced in Abuja have continued, leaving motorists spending hours to get the product. Lydia Sampson was out earlier in the day for a situation report.
Long queues in petrol stations often heighten anxiety of motorists to top up the fuel in their vehicles. This often creates artificial scarcity because some petrol marketers catch in on the higher demand to start hoarding the products. While some petrol stations are still selling at 163 naira per litre, the same cannot be said of many other stations. A cross-section of motorists share their experience.
The planned increase of petroleum price, and because of that, these people are holding it so that they will have a very good margin when they eventually increase the price within the week, which they expected.
If there's a deregulation, actual deregulation, we shouldn't, that should be down. It has not gone down a bit, it's only going up.
It looks better. Maybe because people got for somehow yesterday out of long queue.
163. That's the official price. Although I can't say we are running out because there is a consignment that is on the way coming.
The Department of Petroleum Resources says it is already clamping down on the fault in stations.
The product is available. It's just that people are doing panic buying. And yes, some few isolated independent marketers are trying to hoard, but we're on top of that.
DPR says there shall be no sacred cow, as economic sabotage from any marketer will attract stipulated sanctions. It should be recalled that with the deregulation of the downstream, The market is based on economic principle of demand and supply. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTAi News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria and Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria have staged what is described as the world's biggest rice pyramid, celebrating 5 years of the Anchor Borrowers Program. This is coming as the Central Bank of Nigeria is set to finance the resuscitation of the commodity exchange market with 50 billion naira. Musa Baba Aliu, who is in Birnin Kebbi for the festival, reports that the pyramids depict how farmers overcame the 2020 floods which ravaged and destroyed rice farms in states in northwest Nigeria.
If you say this is the world's biggest rice pyramid, you might not be wrong, because no record has so far proven otherwise. 12 of the 13 pyramids house more than 30,070 kilograms of rice paddy, while each of the two in the middle contains 50,000 bags of 70 kilograms of the commodity. The rice is part of the CBN Anchor Borrowers Recovery Program.
The Nigerian millers will start evacuating this paddy, you see, for onward forward to their rice mills to process and sell to Nigerians at a subsidized rate, all courtesy of President Muhammadu Buhari and the CBN governor.
So the more output that we produce as a country, the more it goes into ensuring that prices are stable. We started in Niger, you can see the pyramids here. From here we're going to Gombe and also to Ekiti, and then we'll end up in Abuja.
The Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele described the Anchor Borrowers Program as a successful tool that changed and revolutionized rice production in Nigeria. He said the Apex Bank, through Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, supported 221,450 farmers that cultivated 221,450 hectares for the first phase of the dry season farming activities.
In support of the growth recorded in this drive to attain self-sufficiency in food production and to moderate prices of agricultural commodities, Mr. President has approved the resuscitation of Nigeria's commodity exchange, and the CBN, in partnership with other stakeholders, will be committing at least 50 billion naira to this initiative.
The governor of Central Bank is stimulating the economy. I think he is a very silent operator.
The second phase of the program was launched at the ceremony, targeting 1 million tons of rice. In Birnin Kebbi, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTAi News.
Information and Culture Minister and Chairman DSO Ministerial Task Force Team, Lai Mohammed, says only rich content can successfully drive the digitization process. The minister stated this at the inaugural meeting of the task force in Abuja. Anthony Forsen reports.
Pointing out that the task force cannot afford to fail ahead of the impending massive rollout across the country, the minister was emphatic about taking the issue of content serious.
The purchase of the set-top boxes by Nigerians will depend on the richness of the content offered. Before now, we either gave out the boxes free or at subsidized rates. But now that the project is being commercially driven, the sale of STBs will depend on the content.
He was particular about sports, entertainment, movies, news, both local and foreign, as well as children's programs, which are indispensable. The minister equally noted that looking inwards will help developing the Nigerian brand.
We must also tap into the great opportunity offered by this project to help popularize the local football league. We can work with the Nigerian Professional Football League, the NPFL, to have their weekly matches shown live. I have no doubt that they will be willing to work with us in this regard.
While these are being worked on, the need for massive publicity for the project, he added, is desirable as millions of Nigerians are still unaware of the true essence of the DSO project and the opportunities therein. Already, the minister said the process of implementing the audience measurement scheme, a critical component of the success of the DSO project, will be kickstarted soon to guide all content owners and channels to be able to get commensurate benefits for their efforts. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTAi News.
A flyover constructed at Rumogba, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, has been inaugurated for use. Former Governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, who performed the inauguration, was pleased with the quality of infrastructural projects executed by Governor Nyesom Wike. Ogedi Nyekwere reports.
Rumogba Flyover Bridge is the last among the triple flyover bridges embarked upon by the Rivers State government in 2019. The bridge, which is sited at the famous first and second artillery junctions known for its attendant traffic congestion, will not only help in free vehicular and human traffic, but will save man-hour lost on the road, enhance economic activities, and change the landscape of the area.
Let me tell the people of Rivers State today, in the next 2 weeks, Julius Berger will come back and sign a contract with us where we are going to build a cancer and cardiovascular disease center in the best in this country. And they will complete it in 14 months. I've told you, I'm not going to leave any project for anybody.
Former Governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, extolled the sterling leadership qualities of Governor Wike, noting that since he assumed the leadership of the state in 2015, there are conspicuous positive changes.
Let me also take the opportunity to thank you for paying a lot of attention on education. And therefore, I encourage you, Your Excellency, to keep on selecting first-class contractors so that posterity will judge you.
The Rivers State government had earlier signed a contract with Julius Berger Nigerian PLC for the construction of the 7th and 8th flyover bridges to be sited at Ikwere Road, Oluobasanjo and Romo Kalabo, with a promise to complete them in 12 months. In Port Harcourt, Ogedi Nyekwere, NTAi News.
Time now to join Dr. Oguyemi in Lagos for more reports. Dr.
Thank you, Cyril. Within 24 hours, the Nigeria Police Force Lagos State Command arrested 172 persons for defying COVID-19 protocols. It is a renewed rigor which the force is extending to ensure public compliance, aside its responsibility of enhancing a crime-free society. Diana Ajale reports.
Despite the second wave of COVID-19 still being very much around, these young men and women reportedly gathered at Clubhouse in violation of safety protocols put in place by the federal government. They were picked up by the Lagos State Police Command team in Clubhouse in Victoria Island area around 3 in the morning over the weekend.
They violated the law of the state, and the law will take its course. That is, they are here now, so they will be charged to court, and whatever the court takes, so it's what we are going to comply.
As at the time of this report, the owner of the clubhouse where the arrests were made is still at large, but the police commissioner pledged that he will be apprehended and charged to court. He, however, wants the public to avoid all kinds of crimes and comply with the appropriate measures put in place by relevant authorities to curb the spread of coronavirus. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTAi News.
The federal government's efforts to get more youth involved in agriculture, especially fish production, is gathering momentum with the introduction of a homegrown technology in the fish smoking to interest youths in the sector. NTAi reports that the business that was carried out using unrefined method from time immemorial is now becoming attractive to youths who are leveraging new technology.
Fish makes up 40% of protein intake in Nigeria, with available statistics indicating 13.3 kilogram fish consumption per person per year. It is also a means of livelihood for many who work in the fish value chain. As one of the age-long methods of preserving fish from decay and adding some flavor to it, smoking fish on a grill by exposing them to smoke from smoldering wood often leave those who do the processing with dirty soot, while there is also the risk of inhaling smoke that may damage the lungs and even cause cancer.
We discovered that so many people love smoked fish, despite the fact that the method of smoking it is not hygienic as it should be. The one you see in the market cannot be exported.
Sequel to its success in boosting fish production by facilitating youth involvement in aquaculture, the next intervention by the federal government is to tap into the abundant fish resources in the southwest and promote interest in modern and safer method of fish production using the smoking kiln technology.
You go to the supermarkets, you find it nicely packed. So why not? The youth that feels, oh, I want to do something special, I want to do something extra for myself, will definitely gain a lot, because by the time it is there, it is not messy.
Until now, Maureen Adebisi knew next to nothing about fish smoking, but that is about to change for her and 19 other women and youths drawn from Southwest Geopolitical Zone who are now undergoing a techno-entrepreneurship development training on fish smoking.
I should be able to know how to do the processing well and then have a nice packaging that even when others see, they will even be surprised to know that I did it myself.
And with this kind of business, to be an opportunity for me to start my own business on my own.
Just as hoped by the federal government, the participants are optimistic that the new fish smoking method will help to improve public health and boost rural and urban industrialization in the zone. In Lagos, NTAi.
And that's it from here. Let's now take a break. Network News continues shortly.
We're just having a good time, and I'm feeling so good.
Where you did? I dey come now. You go see me now. You go.
Call your body and everybody, yeah. Make we start to the corner.
Where you did now? You go see me now.
Everybody they dance.
Where you did now? Oh you go see me now.
You
I'm fine, sir. Even me, I surprised.
Hey, where you at? You go Mexico, you go Jericho, I'm gonna let you go.
Hello, how are you?
Tell us one truth nobody knows.
I like to steam it from my mama's pot.
The best data plans in town. Dial *777#.
By the magical coast of the Atlantic, the luxurious residential towers with contemporary interiors that accentuate a genuine sense of serenity and contentment, featuring world-class amenities and social areas, where everyone can spend the best times from the comfort of home. For those who seek the best shape, and the little precious ones who do not hide but always seek. Excellence is an idea significantly resembled in the new coastal gem, which offers invincible opportunities of fine living and investment. Invest in Paramount Twin Towers by Grenadines Homes. Live the excellence.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTAi from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
We're back in Abuja now. Global economic outlook and oil market prospects continue to show signs of improvement, just as Nigerian stocks continue to record mixed gains. Let's join Benny Adams for more on business news. Benny, oil prices are on the rise. That could be good for producers, but I just leave it at that. It might not be across board for other services, right?
You're so very right, sir. Thank you. Good to have you on the business side.
Ahead of the 27th Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting and the 14th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting scheduled for Wednesday, OPEC Secretary General Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo has emphasized the need to stay the course on restoring sustainable oil market stability, just as global economic outlook and oil market prospects continue to show signs of improvement.
We have come a long way from a year ago. The days of GDP and oil demand figures being in the red because of the pandemic-induced shock appear to be behind us. Yet, Mr. Chairman, we must emphasize in strong terms cautious optimism. Cautious optimism.
Capital market investors lost 122.43 billion naira as NSE all-share index dips by 0.59% amid renewed sell pressure at the close of market today. The market closed at 39,697.62 basis points as against 0.33% appreciation recorded previously. Market breadth closed negative as Academy led 17 gainers as against 24 losers, topped by M-Benefit at the end of today's session. An improved performance when compared with previous outlook. Market turnover also closed negative as volume moved down by 59.08% as against 7.24% uptick recorded in the previous session. Zenith Bank, United Capital, and M-Benefit were the most active to boost market turnover. Nestle and Zenith topped market value list, just as Better Glass leads the list of active stocks that recorded impressive volume spike at the end of today's session. Well, that is business news. Cyril, it's over to you.
All right. Keep watching the stocks.
Sure.
Thank you. Right. The Nigeria Labour Congress National Executive Council meeting has called on President Muhammadu Buhari not to allow the ongoing attempt by the National Assembly to move the national minimum wage from exclusive to concurrent legislative list. Labour is planning a mass protest across every State House of Assembly if deliberations on this continue without a public hearing. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
The ratification of Convention 26 of the International Labour Organization in 1961 gave a statutory effect by the signing into law the national minimum wage by Nigeria in 1981. This signaled the adoption of a global standard which remained on exclusive list of the nation's constitution. NLC therefore considered the bill, which already passed second reading at the House of Representatives, as an attempt to undermine Nigeria's working class. Labour is of the view that national minimum wage is a product of negotiation and any bill should be subjected to a public debate.
NEC buttressed that a multiplicity of national minimum wage will serve to create a stagnation of labour market, which could weaken national economic growth and cohesion.
NLC also frowned at the current hoarding and scarcity of petrol motor spirit.
NEC called on relevant regulatory agencies of government to rise up to the protection of the interests of the majority of Nigerians from the exploitative hands of market forces who are bent on making maximal profit from the suffering of fellow Nigerians.
The National Executive Council of the NLC also rejected attempt of constitutional amendment to allow for establishment of State Judicial Council. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTAi News.
The Northeast Development Commission says the reconstruction and rehabilitation processes of the Northeast region to restore livelihoods and open up trade links is significant for sustained development of the areas affected by insurgency. Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Gouni Alkali, stated this at the flag-off of the NEDC interventions in Adamawa State. Yusuf Jika reports.
Actual flag-off of the construction and rehabilitation of roads and 3 bridges of Kudzum, Worongayandi and Dilchim destroyed by Boko Haram will no doubt restore and provide economic opportunities to the communities in Adamawa and Borno states. The Managing Director, Northeast Development Commission, Muhammad Koni, said the commission is collaborating with the Ministry of Works and Housing and have finalized arrangement for the commencement of the construction of the roads and bridges in addition to construction of paved roads to ensure alignment to prevent wash-off after completion. Aside from the road interventions, the Commission also presented starter packs to NEDC ICT pioneer trainees and the donation of personal protective equipment, as well as agricultural inputs to organized groups and security agencies. Governor Amadou Marufintri of Adamawa State commended the Northeast Development Commission for rekindling the hope of the region and meeting to the expectation of the people. Across section of the Commission's beneficiaries said the gesture will go a long way in improving their living standards. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTAi News.
And just a bit on the political scene now, an 8-man Constitution Review Committee of the All Progressives Congress has been inaugurated to commence the process of reviewing its constitution. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
Inaugurate this committee. It is the process of carrying out another task by the Governor Maimala Buni-led caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee. This time, it is the task of reviewing the party's constitution as a legal, principal, and political document to meet the growing demands of party faithful.
Our party has grown quite large in the last few years and is poised to become the largest party in the continent with ongoing membership registration. Hence, we must have a set of laws that is near perfect.
Professor Tahir Mamman is the chairman of the APC Constitution Review Committee, expected to carry out its function within 1 month.
A vibrant constitutional foundation is fundamental for certainty and clarity of power, functions, processes, and privileges in the institution.
This 105-page 2014 amended constitution of the party has remained the only legal document of the party, and it has a month to remain relevant. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTAi News.
We'll take another quick break. The news continues shortly.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTAi from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
African nations converge on Abuja for volleyball tournament. Samuel Johnson is our guide on sports update.
President of the Nigeria Volleyball Federation, Musa Nimrod, has expressed concern over the impact of COVID-19 on the upcoming Africa Under-18 and Under-19 Volleyball Championships scheduled for Abuja, Nigeria, with the withdrawal of some countries due to the dreaded virus. Reports indicate that Central African Republic and Tunisia have withdrawn, while some countries have arrived for the championship. From the continental scene, group opponents of Nigeria's Eyimba Football Club of Aba, El Setif of Algeria, will play Orlando Pirates on match day 1 in Ghana. El Setif announced Monday evening that they have received approval from the Ghanaian government and Football Association. Pirates will thereafter host Eyimba on match day 2 of the tournament. Action returns in the Nigeria Women Football League with match day 8 fixtures across the country. On Wednesday, FC Robo plays host to Dream Stars. Rivers Angels will tackle Royal Queens, while Sunshine Queens face Pelican Stars. In the English Premier League, Week 29 fixtures slated for Wednesday will see Sheffield United continue its struggle to escape relegation when it takes on Aston Villa. Burnley tackles Leicester City, while Crystal Palace play host to Manchester United. In another news, the sports fraternity in Lagos are excited about the reopening of the National Stadium for sporting activities after about 10 months of closure.
It's good to be back.
Body have changed because they don't train again. But we thank God they're open to them.
The National Edifice welcomed various sports academies and other sports enthusiasts. With sports update, Samuel Johnson, NTAi News.
Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello has announced the death of the Emir of Kagara, Alhaji Salihu Tanku, at the age of 91. The governor expressed shock over the news and condoled with the Council of Chiefs and family members. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari extends heartfelt condolences to the royal family, the government and people of Niger State on the demise of Alhaji Salihu Tanku, Emir of Kagara. The President joins the Echunupe and Chairman Council of Traditional Rulers, Alhaji Yahya Abubakar, as well as the people of Kagara Emirate, in mourning the passing of the first-class Emir who guided his community with dignity and dedication throughout his 30 years on the throne. He prayed Allah to grant the soul of the deceased eternal rest. And the death has been announced of Nenna Mary Mbagu, a retired Assistant Controller General of Immigration, who died on the 12th of December 2020 at the age of 66. The family says a wake will hold in her honor on the 12th of March at 6:30 p.m. at a family residence in Umukoro, Umuariam, Obo local government area in Imo State. Line in State will also be at the residence on the 13th of March from 8 a.m. and a church service will hold at Christ the King Catholic Church at 9 a.m. The interment will take place at her country home with a reception immediately after. And that concludes Networked News tonight. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Cyril Stover. Good night.
NTAi Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
There was this broadcast on the Villa Updates, which I'm part of, and I got the information there that we should apply for survival fund.
I thought it was a scam, but truly it wasn't a scam.
To my great surprise, we actually got a lot of 30,000. I have 5 staff, including the making 6. We got a lot of 30,000. Like 3 weeks later, this is the first time I'm getting anything from this government. Even from past governments, I have never gotten anything from them.
It was a great relief for us because during the COVID-19, things were so tough.
I really thank the government for this great gesture because it has helped a lot.
NTAi, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTAi.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people, government has signed the Health Protection Regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water. And use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTAi.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTAi TV College Jos invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate online news reporting skills. Date 1st March to 12th March 2021. 2 weeks. Studio lighting indoor and outdoor. Date 1st March to 5th March 2021. 1 week. Modern trends in broadcast media marketing. Date 15th March to 9th April 2021. 4 weeks. Understanding public service rules and mastering the art of standard minute writing, reports, memoranda, and briefs. Date 15th February to 12th March 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week courses is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTAi TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTAi TV College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTAi from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Gold.com.
Nigerian values are the heart of our culture. Nigeria's distinctive culture also reflects her history and her diversity. Culture is a strong part of people's lives. Culture reflects our history, diversity, and values. It is an expression of our tradition, clothing, cuisine, monuments, music, and art, to say the least.
On behalf of all of you, all the people of Nigeria, I have the singular honor and pleasure to open this National Arts and Culture Festival Edo 2019 to the grace of God.
The Nigerian culture came to light in flamboyant display as Edo State, the heartbeat of a nation, captured the world's attention at the National Festival of Arts and Culture 2019.
It is a veritable citadel of culture and an ancient city that is steeped in the splendor of our finest cultural traditions. I cannot think of a more befitting host for the festival or of a site more appropriate for us to celebrate and reflect upon our cultural heritage.
When we were planning, there were a lot of questions, especially on security. How safe is Edo to host the event of this magnitude? And I keep saying Edo is very safe.
One of the achievements of this festival is it has brought together people from all walks of life across the country to see the beauty of Benin City and of Edo State.
You can see the display. I can see Kaduna State.
The National Festival of Arts and Culture, also known as NAFEST, has her origin in the various arts festivals celebrated locally in different parts of the country. The festival serves as recourse for national unity, as well as creating opportunities for cultural integration.
It is only culture brings Nigeria together. At least we have interacted with our co-Nigerians.
The first NAFEST was held in Lagos.
This festival, Your Excellency is fully aware, started in 1970 after the Civil War. The idea of this festival is to unite this country and cement our relationship. One basic thing we must take away from here today: you must respect everybody's culture. Anywhere you go in this country, then there will be peace.
So far, 20 states of the country have played host to the festival.
Let's put our hands together for Jigawa State.
This marks the 32nd edition. Edo State is playing host for the first time.
Today we are celebrating in Edo State because 40 years after this festival was launched, the festival is coming to the home of culture for the first time.
We've got over 150,000 people or more, and still counting in Benin City for this one-week period. All hotels were fully booked. The air flight and transportation was boosted. And again, you see, everybody's happy.
The theme, Our Royalty, Our Pride, is selected to celebrate the country's traditional rulers as custodians of cultural values and heritage, as well as their distinct role in the promotion, preservation, and transmission of culture from generation to generation.
We are hoping that this will attract international artists, attract an international audience to the name, to also contribute to the tourism industry in the name, as well as Nigeria.
We have come to pay homage to the home of royalty. All the states that came for harvest, we came to pay homage to His Majesty. Royalty is very important in our situation, and Oba of Benin stood firm as the symbol of royalty anywhere in the world.
The Oba of Benin is one of the most powerful custodians of African heritage and tradition. He organizes the annual Igwe Festival. He's in charge of all the traditional heritages. And out of all the kings in Africa, him, the king of Swazili land, Eswatini now, the Oni of Ife, and the Oba of Benin are one of the leaders of Africa that are encouraging our tradition to be put at the forefront to attract tourists from all over the world.
Showing the best of their cultural and artistic wealth, the one-week cultural fiesta is a testimony to the people's respect for culture and tradition, with 30 states in attendance.
She is strong, bold, focused, passionate, dynamic, steadfast and fearless.
It is a potpourri of cultural activities, with the streets of Benin breathing in culture. From the skills acquisition training as part of the NAFEST agenda to create jobs and stir the spirit of entrepreneurship amongst youth.
Rest on top of the belt, not below it. On top of the belt, under 2 months, which makes it 70. So the town has 70.
I hope to learn how to make a bag, how to make shoes, and how to make headband without having to spend more money by buying it.
So I'll practice at home first, then I will not use it to open maybe a business, a home business at first, then I'll start using it to make money.
From the craft competition, traditional board game, locally known as Ayu, drama, and wrestling.
Wonderful Nigerians, our royalty, our pride.
Participating states and ethnic groups went toe-to-toe in healthy competition, displaying the richness of the music, dance, fabrics, delicacies, and much more.
The sights and traits from this beautiful country called Nigeria, a land of limitless opportunities. And this sector, nobody is a failure.
The NAFES is a forum where you have states coming, the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, coming together as one to showcase their culture, their diversity, and everything. It's a forum where we integrate, show our unity in diversity.
NAFES Edo 2019 avails different platforms to produce crafts that have functional and aesthetics value to drama presentation, a creative response to the theme of this year's festival, Our Royalty, Our Pride.
See the color combination that depicts that aesthetic visual expression. Also behold the motifs used in the beautification of the attire. The elephant on his clothes signifies the strength of the land. See the birds on the ground, pigeon, known as Eyele, which stands for peace. And as the Yorubas will say, Totuntosi, Leyele Ikore Wolu. This is the queen, known as Olori. She is beautiful. Oh, very beautiful.
and Gaita and Ganga to entertain his people. My regards to all. Thank you.
In line with promoting culture, the popular indigenous snack akara was endorsed as the official snack of NAFES 2019. The lucky akara vendor came only to share her story and teach akara making skills, and fortune smiled on her.
They gave us an invitation to come here yesterday, just to come and hear our stories and how to prepare akara, but it ain't turned around that the DG want us to fry akara for them here.
Legendary high life music minstrel Professor Sir Victor Owaifo, a former Commissioner of Arts and Culture in Edo State, took the audience on a musical journey to the past as a thrilled guest with some of his evergreen songs, such as Joromi, a song composed from the Benin folklore. From the old generation to the new, the Femin crowd relished in the Nigerian blend of high life and hip-hop as Sir Victor Owaifo passed the baton to Innocent Idibia, also known as Tubaba, whose popularity worked magic as it thrilled the crowd. His song rendition on One Love is a timely message for all Nigerians. River State emerged the overall winner of the 32nd edition of the National Festival of Arts and Culture.
First position overall, NAFEST 2019 goes to River State, the treasure base of the nation. River State.
Ogun State came second position.
Second position goes to Ogun State, NAFEST 2019.
The host state, Edo and Bayelsa State, were joint third place winners.
Third position overall goes to Edo State and Bayelsa State.
And Delta State come in fourth place.
Let's put our hands together for Delta State. Fourth position overall at NAFEST 2019.
Plateau State has been announced the next host.
I hereby declare it closed to the glory of God and to the benefit of all. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for
No doubt, an indicator of cultural tastes and a veritable weapon for socio-economic development and social integration. NAFEST Edo 2019 has sold itself as a festival that unites the nation.
the program. I am Omini Udan. 8 days after Kagara incident, the Northern State Governors Forum met in Kaduna in an effort to address the challenges bedeviling the region and Nigeria at large. That was on the 25th of February 2021, with high-profile personalities almost at the highest decision level. The forum resolved, among other things, to work assiduously and jointly with the federal government in tackling the challenges of insecurity in the country, among other concerns. The resolutions were partly in response to recent abductions recorded in schools in the country, which have sustained discussions in the public space connecting with what would have been responsible and how the institutions responsible are handling the challenges in securing our schools. On the second leg discussion tonight, we'll be looking at solutions. Nigeria, being a signatory to the Safe Schools Declaration, ought to have taken steps towards surmounting the problem given the policy in place. As President Buhari joins families and people of the states affected recently in welcoming and celebrating the release of these students, he calls for greater vigilance by the people so that human intelligence could be sourced early to nip the bandits' plans in the bud. He also warned that time has come to reverse completely the grim and heartbreaking incidents of kidnapping and banditry, urging the police and the military to go after these criminals and bring them to justice. These and other stakeholders play in the maintenance and securing of schools in Nigeria besides government. These and more are the issues to be discussed tonight, but after this background report put together by Francis Fom.
In April 2014, Nigerians woke up with the news of the abduction of 276 female students of government secondary school Chibok in Borno State by insurgents who disguised as security guards and invaded the school, getting away with students in a truck to an unknown destination. By May 2017, 88 of the abducted girls regained freedom from the insurgents after following negotiation between the Nigerian government and the terrorist group. In February 2018, another news of abduction of 110 students of Government Science and Technical College Dapchi in Yobe State occupied the media space. After weeks of intense pressure by the Nigerian government, the girls were released just when the country is coming out of shock of student abduction. Another phase of school invasion surfaced. This time, the target is an all-male school where more than 330 students of Government Science Secondary School Kankara in Katsina State were abducted in December 2020 and later released after negotiations. Just when hope of the safe returns of 27 students of Government Science College Kagara in Niger State, 15 officials of the college and their relatives held hostage by armed men dressed in military uniform on 17 February 2021. About 279 students of Government Science Secondary School Jangebi in Talata Mafara local government area of Zamfara State were abducted by armed bandits. It was one abduction too many, and all stakeholders vow to bring to an end such incidents, with President Buhari saying government is committed more than ever before to deal with criminals. The Northern Governors Forum held a meeting with traditional rulers focusing on security, economy, education, and above all, the development of the region. 2 days later, the Kagara boys were released by their abductors in the early hours of Saturday, 27 February 2021. The 279 abducted students of Government Girls Secondary School Jangabi were released in the early hours of Tuesday following a combined effort of security agencies. Aside from this abduction, pockets of attacks on secondary schools are recorded, like the one on Federal Government College Buniyadi in Yobe State in 2014, killing 21 students. These attacks on schools in the country by criminal elements, experts say, is a wake-up call to managers of educational facilities, especially boarding schools, at fringes of remote towns, as they are increasingly becoming soft targets Stakeholders advise that governments at all levels need to develop and deploy new strategies to deal with the new threats to the security and safety of children and their education through a comprehensive security approach that will safeguard lives and secure the future of these promising leaders. Francis from
Securing schools in Nigeria, part 2. On the first leg, we looked at what would have been responsible. What will is the way forward? Is the security architecture in Nigeria overwhelmed? On the second leg tonight, we shall be dwelling strictly on the solution and the way forward, given the fact that a lot of engagements have taken place. Well, Francis Form's background sets the tone for the takeoff of the program tonight. And it's Tuesday Live. At some point, our phone lines will be displayed on the screen. And if I talk to you, please go to the point and be responsible in your contribution. Raise your questions and make your points. Go straight to the point. Please, in doing this, turn down the volume of your television set to avoid the hallback or echo. Also, you can be part of the discussion tonight through our Twitter handle at Tuesday Live NTAi. Send in your tweets, ask your questions, and our team of guests be available to address them. Tonight, I'm being joined first via Zoom in Jos, Plateau State, the Executive Governor of Plateau State and Chairman, Northern Governors Forum, His Excellency Right Honorable Simon Bako Lalong. Good to have you on the program tonight, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Omeni, and good evening.
So tonight, I'm being joined here in the studio by Dr. Emmanuel Ojukwu, Provost Public Relations School, Lafia, Police Public Relations School, Lafia, and retired Commissioner of Police. Good to have you on the program tonight.
My pleasure to be here.
Mohammed Ali is a security expert. He's joining us from our Capital Network Center. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the program. Our Capital Network Center. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the program.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Captain Aliyu Umar, retired National Security Resource and Solutions Options Consultant, former intelligence officer, is joining us from Lagos. Welcome to Tuesday Live. Let's go to Jos with His Excellency. Your Excellency, as bitter as this is, as quite disturbing as it is, in all the scenarios you have featured and you have rendered your voice, your line of thought, as first of all as the Governor of Plateau State and also the Chairman of the Northern State Governors Forum. And let's begin by saying the very last engagement was the forum's meeting in Kaduna, and a couple of resolutions were reached. Could you just maybe recap and what informed your line of decision? Could you just give us a recap?
Thank you very much. Once again, good evening, viewers. The meeting in Kaduna, the Northern Governors meeting in Kaduna, was informed first of all by the activities that happened during the NSAS. And I think when we had the NSAS movement, and before even it escalated down to the north, we had to summon a meeting, an emergency meeting in Kaduna, because within the period, there were notices being given, some issuing notices and saying all the southerners should vacate the north, and then the northerners should vacate from the south. And that was what informed us to call an emergency meeting to address some of these issues before they get out of hand. But as we were having the meeting, we also addressed the issues of the youth restiveness, the women, and also the other issues about traditional rulers, the involvement of traditional rulers in addressing the security of the nation. And so part of that meeting was what led to the formation of committees. And those committees were headed by, in some cases, the traditional rulers and some of them by governors. So, and then we gave a timeline. That was sometimes last year. We gave a timeline of February for the next meeting, which was going to be 2 days. And this meeting was to collect the reports from all the various committees, and also within that time to address some of the thorny issues, emerging issues at that time, at this time again. Now, this time, it was now the issue of the the herdsmen farmers problem that was now being a problem of southerners, a perceived problem of southern and northern Nigeria. So all those things were taken over by the meeting, and then we addressed those issues. And first of all, part of the resolution was that first we all agreed that we must put in measures in our various states together in synergy with traditional rulers to find ways of helping the federal government, working in synergy with the federal government in addressing some of these issues. The second aspect was also to use the role of traditional council effectively and also to address some of the fears of our southern counterparts and to work in synergy with them so that there will be no misconception about some of the issues that were coming, utterances that were coming both from traditional rulers, governors, and even leaders, respected leaders. And so that way, we agreed that we must have a dialogue with some of them to understand that this country is our country, that we should not need for ethnic profiling when it comes to crime. And since criminals are found in every tribe. And so when we do that, we come together and address holistically what are the crimes and also take the responsibilities as governors, as a government, where we think that it is our responsibility to address these issues. And part of the resolution also was the need, because abduction were already getting very rampant. At the time that we were doing deliberations, the students were already abducted in Niger. And so we're trying to put measures. And immediately after the meeting, of course, then first the Kagara issue and then the Jangabe. And so we realized that in the north, these issues were going to be very, very prevalent. And so what we did was to put heads together and to assist the federal government also to see how to address and protect our children in all their schools. And again, the issue of IDPs, because when we talk about the current crimes, what are we doing about those who are victims of those things? Victims of crisis, victims of ethno-religious crisis, victims of farmers' headers crisis, and victims of sort banditry. So what are we doing about them? We need to get a census of all of them. And those people are also aggrieved people. If they are still in IDP camps, we must find ways of relocating them back to their abodes, because that way they will also feel free and feel happy as Nigerians. And then we consider the issue of intra-border movements, because influx and then the porous nature of our border is allowing not only people move anyhow, but also allowing influx of arms and ammunition. You recall that we mentioned that if we gather or put our border properly, there will be no way people will be moving in and bringing arms of several kinds to people. It is when these arms are brought in, then you find different brands of crime, both banditry, religious crisis, farmers, herdsmen, the IPOP, and all militancy going on. All of them are doing it with arms. So you will see that a lot of arms, the influx of arms, must also be controlled. We mentioned also the actions of some vigilante groups. In some states, some vigilante groups feel they are above the law. And so what they do is extrajudicial killings. And so we agreed that all states should handle their vigilantes. Where they are useful, they can work with the police and security organization in addressing crime. But where they take extrajudicial steps, then definitely they are condemned, and we must provide the legal backing to protect such actions. And then our focus on agriculture and mining in the north. So we are moving back to agriculture and mining. So that in order to have that, we must have security in all our places. So to guarantee farming and mining, we must also guarantee that there is security for it. And that was why in the north, we accepted the NLTP, the implementation of the NLTP, the National Livestock Transformation Plan, program, which of course we had a meeting yesterday under the office of the Vice President, and we all concluded on the final implementation of the NLTP. And it's interesting for you to know that in that NLTP, 20 states applied for it, 20 out of 36 states. And it is because of the misconception And with proper analysis, proper explanation, even many states will come in to embrace the NLTP. That would have been a part of the solution to some of these herdsmen farmers issue that we are talking about. So with good understanding, we say sensitizations must go on, whilst those states that have applied for the NLTP should be given opportunity to start the implementation, the pilot schemes, so that it will address this issue of movements and we have completely a new way of life, both for farmers and also for the herdsmen. That will reduce the banditry. But at the end of the day, we also call on Mr. President to take firm action, very, very firm actions on some of this insecurity that is going on. I'm very happy I'm beginning to see the firm actions that are taking place in Zamfara today. And if we have that firm actions taking over, I think it will be good for the North, and not only for the North, for the all other parts of the country. But also my appeal I have made, and which I'm also going to make, is that while we are also addressing the release of those who are now abducted, let us also go back to those who are abducted and still are yearning for release. I talk specifically about the likes of Leah Sharibu. We've been doing that, especially in Plateau State, where they live, their parents are with me today. I think we must go back. If we take that action we are taking in Zamfara, let us move the same action and bring back our girls.
Excellency, I'm still on you. You have been very visible in your capacity as the chairman of the Northern State Governors Forum. And precisely on the 12th of December 2020, a release attributed to you after the ugly incident of the attack in Katsina State, that is Kankara precisely. You totally condemned and described it as an unfortunate incident, which is regrettable and intolerable. Now, one of the other very strong positions of the State Governors Forum in your last resolution was the resolve to put more efforts in enhancing the security and safety of all schools within their domain, and therefore urge the Nigerian security agencies to collaborate with the various state governments towards achieving this noble objective. As much as we know it's a security thing that requires a lot of intelligence, are you worried that despite all this, we are yet to hear that suspects have been engaged?
Well, of course, yes, I'm very much worried. I'm very much worried about that. And that was why when we had a meeting in Kaduna, first of all, we also appreciate as people in government that, yes, there is also capacity problem for the security. There's capacity problem because they've laid out their problems before us. They said, look, the number is insufficient. We also need more funding to buy equipments. And it was in addressing some of those problems that we all agreed to the idea of also supplementing some of it. And the supplementary part of it is the issue of the community policing, which we all agreed and is well funded, is now being funded by the federal government. And in some of the states, we all agreed also at the Northern Governors Forum that we cannot drive away some vigilante groups. So in most of the states, the vigilante groups are also very useful. So even if we cannot increase the number that we have in security, in terms of intelligence gathering, let us also use some of these, train some of these vigilante groups and use them. And more so, in the past, people were building schools without even fencing. So we realized that, yes, it is now obvious that all governments will go back to the issue of fencing boarding schools and providing security for boarding schools. You know, in our days, we used to have soldiers. We used to have soldiers in every school, and that was, I think, introduced by President Obasanjo when he was head of state. We used to have soldiers who were maintaining discipline and who were also overseeing the insecurity in all the schools. So in addition to that, we must, whether we like it or not, as governors, now be prepared to ensure that we fence all the boarding schools and also ensure that we have security for all boarding schools. Otherwise, we'll continue to have some of these kidnappings going on here and there. And then finally, we also hammered on the issue of prosecution, like you mentioned, that if people are not brought to book, definitely it will be seen that people commit criminality and they go away free. If we have them in some places. Let us show evidence that they are being prosecuted and also they are jailed. They are jailed. That way, it will serve as a deterrent to others who are involved in it. And we also condemn the issue of completely and every time negotiations, because we advise on one, kinetic, yes, and also non-kinetic. Non-kinetic in other crimes. Like, for instance, if you have ignorant crisis, if you have famous others problem, you may use non-kinetic approach. But in terms of banditry, definitely we must have more of a kinetic approach. Otherwise, they're just saying less. They do the kidnapping and they go away, and tomorrow they are released. But where are the people? We must have those people, those culprits.
Yes, we hold it there for now. We'll come back to you. Now, I want to be done with the epicenter of all before we come to the studio here. Let's go to Kaduna, where Mohammed Ali is joining us from our network, Kaduna Network Center. Mohammed, listening to the governor of Plateau State speak, and in his capacity also as the chairman of the Northern State Governors Forum, this whole thing today is a pile-up from somewhere where it started to what it is now. How best, with the knowledge you have in security, can it be addressed besides the immediate, which is like spur of the moment reaction? If we don't look backward, bend backwards and take it from there, are we sure we'll head anywhere with it?
Thank you very much. Let me say, once to every nation comes a time to decide for truth or falsehood, for good or for evil. Having said that, painfully, the North is steadily but helplessly edging towards helplessness and lawlessness. And this lawlessness is a precursor to a failed state. Therefore, it has become incumbent for all hands to come on deck to see how best we can work together in order to salvage the ship from sinking. This must be done, and quickly too. And to address the issues of banditry, the economy of violence, which we generally refer to as kidnapping, I think there is a need for us to create a sort of partnership between public safety professionals, state governments, and school administrators. This, if done, will assist in facilitating collaborative and comprehensive approach towards tackling the menace of banditry and kidnapping in our schools, which, if not arrested immediately, has the potential to destroy our already prostrate educational system. So this is why everybody has to come on board and contribute his or her own quota towards solving this problem. But as His Excellency rightly said, people have been arrested. We only talk about the abductees and we celebrate their release. What about the culprits? What has been done to them? Time and again, we enter into negotiations. They release a few firearms, and then off they are allowed to go. A week or thereabout, they come back again. Because if we take the Kankara kidnap case as a case study, 334 students were kidnapped. After a while, negotiation was done, they were released. The arrowhead of that saga, one Awal Daudawa, who is an indigenous of Faskari local government in Katsina State, assisted and aided by his lieutenants, Idi Mainoti and Dankarami, who are indigenous of Zamfara State. They, about 5 weeks ago, presented 24 AK-47 to His Excellency Governor Matole under the pretext that they have accepted dialogue, they will key into amnesty, and they will abandon banditry and kidnapping. It's not up to 6 weeks that this has happened. And here we are in Jangebe, Talatu Mafara local government, where innocent schoolgirls were kidnapped in their hundreds, only for them to be returned in the early hours, in the wee hours of today, Tuesday. Now, to say the fact, Nigerians or Northerners in particular are actually traumatized by these happenings. And except something is done, and drastically too, will continue to face these problems. And the more gangsters are allowed to go into our schools, ransack everywhere and kidnap students, gradually our schools will become empty, and even the day schools, parents will be skeptical about sending their children to schools because government has either shown unwillingness or an apparent inability to stem the tide. And thirdly, I want to see a situation where the northern governors will speak with one voice, take a common position in order to end this scourge. But where certain governors will take a position, others will take a divergent position with different views, this in a nutshell is actually giving us cause for concern. And unfortunately, after the Jangebe kidnap, quite a number of state governors here in the north have decided to close their boarding school. That act in itself is defeatist because they are invariably indicating to these social malcontents that they are above the law or government is afraid of them. We must be prepared to take the fight to them, but we must not, for any reason, close school because some idiots are going into to kidnap our children. What we need to do is to beef up the security in those schools. What is presently happening? We don't have security in almost all the boarding schools because listeners must understand there is a difference between a security personnel or a security man and the traditional Megadi we used to know. The traditional Megadi's work is to only open gate and close. He has no business about intelligence gathering. He has no business about making any observation that will assist the cause of his work. And the Jangebe school in particular, the security man there is only one person that is about 70 years old. How can a 70-year-old man protect a school housing over 400 girls? So this invariably shows lack of seriousness on the part of the school administrators. There is no way one single old man can stay guard and overlook 400 students, even if it is in the daytime, not to talk of night. And by 8, such old people, they are already tired. By 8 p.m. he's fast asleep. What happens, he wouldn't know. So this is why the need for partnership with public safety professionals must be embraced, and quickly too, so that we will be able to safeguard the safety of our students in all their boarding schools in order for them to have a conducive atmosphere to face their studies.
Thank you so much, Mohammed Ali, for your thoughts so far. Well, back in the studio, Ojukwu, just in the first leg of this discussion last week, we looked copiously on the Safe School Initiative tied to the Safe School Declaration by the United Nations. And the UNICEF official president said Nigeria is signatory to this declaration. Positions to secure schools. Mohammed has touched on it briefly, where he had advocated the need for a public safety professionals, state governments, and schools to work hand in sync towards securing schools. Now, coming here, trying to gather inputs, I listened to a number of youths discussing, and they're like, what are we doing here? Let's just go to our locations, set up a group, kidnap, go to schools, kidnap, and they will settle you. So, judging from what His Excellency the Governor of Plateau State said and what he said, now, is it that the security architecture is overwhelmed?
Okay, thank you for having me here. The issue at stake is a grievous one. It is grave, and the nation should be in a mourning mood. As far as I'm concerned, we should be flying our flags at half-mast. We have grossly disappointed our children. I knew when I was 12, 13, 14, 18, I didn't pass through this kind of nonsense. Somebody mentioned that the northern states are traumatized. He hasn't hit it. Those traumatized are the victims of this kidnap, abduction. In the past 7 years, we've lost like 300 students. Over 300 schools destroyed. And about 1,000 plus kidnapped by criminal elements. What happens to the minds of these young ones? They'll feel so disappointed that society, adults, the elite, have not lived up to their expectations, and they are looking forward to becoming adults, and they lose themselves. So they feel disappointed. They may tend to withdraw from school, and that's a minus for us. Because this is a country with over 13 million out-of-school children. Those who happen to find their ways to school, either by scholarship or their parents send them there, are now being further traumatized by criminal elements. This girl just came out from detention. The story has not been told. We just saw them on television wearing hijab. That's not the true story. We need to look into their minds. They need to face psychologists and psychiatrists. Some may have been raped, defiled in that place.
So that's why I asked the question.
Yes.
Is it that the security architecture is overwhelmed?
I'm coming there. It is a collective responsibility. There's no way you can post policemen to every school in Nigeria. It cannot happen. It was not meant to be so, and it can never be so. The schools are not military institutions or police institutions. You may have one policeman, 2 policemen. That is nothing. My friend mentioned public partnership. The communities have to be involved in securing the schools within their communities. Because by and large, the greater population of students in a particular school must be indigenous of that area. So their parents have a responsibility to their security. And so they must partner with the school authorities. That's why I have parent-teacher association. They must work together to secure the schools. And you cannot secure schools. I'm still coming to the security issue. You cannot secure schools if they don't have fences. No perimeter fencing. Nothing as a deterrent. Nothing to delay the incursion of a criminal. You just build the school as if it's a big house. You put children there, they're in boarding house. They're going through a lot. Now the police, which I know very well, can only assist, come to help if you are willing to be helped. How are you willing? You provide the basic infrastructure. Provide the partnership. That's what we do, community policing. You bring part of your own, we bring our own. Because the police is already overstretched. The manpower is limited. It's one policeman to over 600 Nigerians. There's no way you can put policemen in schools, 2, 3. We don't have the manpower. Neither can the military. It's not their job. So schools are civil institutions, civil facilities to be policed by the people themselves. So it's not issue of the security being overwhelmed. Okay. But by and large, we need to identify, we have a risk. We have a problem right now. I've mentioned figures, people who have died. It's there somewhere, and it is still, the president made some statement today, but let's watch. Let's just pray it works. People have been monetized. They have weaponized it. Big girls, big boys, these are soft targets. They are vulnerable. They are defenseless. They can be picked. You pick them, you get 20 million, 40 million. Why do I have to go and spend my time in the market trying to earn 100 a day? So there's so much money there. That's a risk. We need to look at that risk, identify it, assess it, analyze it, and look for measures collectively to stop it. Apply those measures, and we may have a solution in our hands.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to Zamfara, where Dr. Danjibo Nathaniel, President, Society for Peace and Practice, is joining us from. Doctor, good to see you on the program tonight.
For inviting me, and good to see you too.
The epicenter of all this for now is Zamfara State. Thank goodness the 279 girls have been released and a couple of activities have taken place. The president has made pronouncements all towards surmounting this challenge. What is the atmosphere, the situation like in Zamfara State as we speak?
Well, thank you very much. I just happened to be in Zamfara by accident. Came into Zamfara yesterday evening from Katsina. I'm actually on a small program on small arms and light weapons coordinated by the Presidential Committee on Small Arms. I came to Zamfara, and unfortunately 2 days ago while we were passing through Talata Mafara, the atmosphere certainly, it's one of great disappointment. I must say that if you had gone around Zamfara State and interacted with some people, the conclusion certainly by a lot of people on the street who I think are more concerned than people in government and politicians, and perhaps those of us who are analyzing the situation, is the fact that there is a failure completely in the architecture of governance, and that includes security, that includes social safety networks. I have listened keenly to what the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum has said. Now, I also listened before I left my hotel room to what the National Security Advisor has said. And what you get to hearing, it's more of disappointment for me because, one, it's like the Nigerian government is only interested in chasing the ball after it's been kicked. And what you now hear, when you begin to hear that the president is now more determined than ever, you begin to ask yourself, was the president not determined before these kinds of things happen? Well, these are not the kinds of statements that we should be making. They further, in a sense, make us become discouraged about the whole situation. Now, I've also listened to the former commissioner of police. There's a great dilemma. If you are asking parents to go and secure school, with what? Are they going to go there with hose and sticks? Are they going to go? The whole thing is about the total collapse of our security architecture. And I think that we need to come up with some new blueprints. Today we are talking about safety for schools. Now, are we only concerned about safety for schools? If there is a blueprint, a security blueprint that secures the entire nation, we don't need to be talking about security for schools. Now, we'll be finishing the discussion on how to secure schools. The next moment, it will be how to secure churches and mosques. The next moment, it will be how to secure families at home. And I think we need to go back to the drawing board to really ask ourselves. This, for me, is a failure of early response to some early warning signs, as we say. Where I work with the Institute for Peace and Strategic Studies of the University of Ibadan. Now, we had these early warning signs. This is not the first time that schools have been attacked, and it begins to call to your imagination, what exactly do we want to do at this moment in time? And as far as I'm concerned, I think there's some kind of, our elderly person said, from Kaduna, I think it is more of an economic thing than it is. And I want to conclude that from my analysis and from my suspicion, those who carry out these heinous acts, if you heard from what had happened in Kagara, what has happened here in Zamfara, it leaves people with the imagination that a lot of people in government are perhaps part of this conspiracy to continue to terrorize the Nigerian state and to make here, as Nigerians. But that's not the issue. The issue is that what are we actually doing? The chairman Northern Governors Forum talked about border, the polarization of, the porosity of our borders. I had just had a training, asking security agents who had been working at the borders. At our own borders, do we even have sniffer dogs? They don't have. At our own borders, do we have computerized vehicles? The police, border police people will tell you they don't have. We should go beyond this traditional, thinking of, security. If we know that our borders are porous and the arms are coming from within our borders, I think that that's just one aspect. What about the arms that have been produced within the country? What about the arms that have been, leaking from security agencies? These are the things that we should be, asking ourselves. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people in Zamfara here are more or less, like all concerned Nigerians should be, in a period of mourning. Yes, we're rejoicing that the young girls have been released, but the question is, who next? Where next?
Thank you so much. I hear our guest in Lagos, Captain Aliyu Umar, National Security Resource and Solution Options Consultant and former military intelligence, has joined us now. Good to have you on Tuesday Live tonight. Tonight, what's your quick response, as much as we are looking for solutions, early response to warning signals? If we act fast, what happens? If we don't act fast, what happens? Captain Leo, you're not hearing me? Okay, I take the question again. From your perspective, what's your reaction to early response and warning